Yes. This is live. Okay, my name is François Letarte and welcome to my channel GDR D30, a channel about tabletop role-playing games. So I'm going live with this. I did an all-for-one game this week. Oh no, it's not the wrong game. Sorry. All for one. No, it's not the good game. All for one. No. Wait a minute. All for one. Okay, I think I don't have my all for one game with me, but nevertheless, I don't have the book. Yeah, but I want to make some sort of a recap and my impression on the game. To share that with you. I did that game this week. All the other players, I've made some recaps of their game. So yeah, I wanted to make a comeback on it. First of all, the link of the game will be below. Right now, live, it's not there, but when I have 5 minutes to myself, I will put the links of the game itself and the recaps of all the other players that played that game. The other players are Sébastien Allard from Null Inquisitor YouTube channel, Ivan from Ivan Mike 1968 YouTube channel, and Anthony from Runeslinger YouTube channel. So these were the players into that. I'll do a short recap. If you want good recaps of the game, you can also check out the links of the other who have made some great recaps. I think I will just repeat myself if I go into details, but for the cause, I will try to be short on the recap. So we have the Three Musketeers. Jean-Marie Ducroisé, played by Null Inquisitor, Philippe Moreau, played by Ivan Mike, and Martin, played by Anthony Runeslinger. So, yeah, they have a duty tonight. They have to guard the Louvre. The Louvre is giving a ball organized by King Louis and Cardinal Richelieu, and the ball is, the goal was to invite the Chancellor of Sweden, Mr. Oxenstierna. To show the greatness of France, they wanted all the musketeers to guard the Louvre, and to do that with the Cardinal's guard. They wanted to show all the forces of France to impress the Chancellor. It all began around the Louvre. Some exchange with Cardinal guards, some problems with family members from Martin, but the real problem started when some crows began to approach the Louvre and enter the Louvre through an open window. And that open window is the window of Queen Anne d'Autriche chamber. Our musketeers, on duty, wanted to see what was going on since they heard some call of help from that window. So they rushed into the Louvre, pushing some Cardinal guards to get into the Queen's chamber and trying to help her, trying to get rid of the crows. At some point, the crows just got out of the room by themselves, but one of them held an object in its beak. So they checked out they tried to catch it, but they weren't able to do that. And when they watched through the window, they saw that the crow holding the object dropped it into the hand of a dark figure with a dark mask, some sort of a burglar, who took the object and ran away. Jean-Marie and Philippe tried to pursue the person, while Martin stayed with the Queen to comfort her and question her about that object. The pursuit, was quite interesting. Philip tried on foot to pursue the person. By the way, that dark person was armed with a great staff. And they ran through the street of Paris, dodging people walking around, dodging some obstacles that the burglar was throwing at Philip. At some point, the person wanted to flee by climbing a wall and getting on the roof of some houses, and Philip did the same. So the two persons have met together on the top. So the person wanted to trip Philip out of the roof, but he was fast enough with his rapier to wound that person, who just threw itself out of the roof into a hay carriage. All the while, well, Jean-Marie, kind of loaned the Swedish wagon, from the chancellor himself, because it has the greatest horses and all that. So he took the carriage and rushed around in the street of Paris to rejoin Philippe. And well, he rejoined him at the moment when the burglar just fell into the hay carriage. So both of them, Jean-Marie and Philippe, tried to see what was happening to the burglar. It has fled away, but it was bleeding. So it was very easy to follow. The person, the burglar, went onto the Pont Neuf, a famous bridge in France, in Paris. And when he saw that both musketeers were after him, just threw himself into the water. Well, I say himself, but I should say herself. At that point, they figured out that it was a woman. When Philippe heard that burglar, it shouted and it sounded like a woman's voice. Both musketeers threw themselves in the Seine trying to pursue the burglar, and they finally found it lying on its back on some ground, surrounding one of the poles holding the bridge. So yeah, they were able to catch it because it was the burglar was out of breath and quite wounded. And it had a small object, some sort of a wooden coin with a blue dot in it. All the while, Martin stayed with the queen, quite impressed to be in her presence, but he was able to comfort her and ask her some questions about what happened. The queen realized that she has lost an object, and that object, well, she told the story of it to Martin. That object was given to her by a small Indian American that was brought back from New France recently. That Indian American, called Abequa, so wanted to meet the queen. And while giving her a gift, she also gave in her hand that small wooden coin, saying that it was the eye of the wendigo, and she has to hide it because it was a secret. And she then, the Abequa, was brought back into a convent to be converted to Christ, to Jesus and the Catholic religion. Okay, so they interrogated the burglar. That woman, who didn't want to hurt the queen. She just wanted the wooden coin, and she was to give it to her mother superior, Mother Mary from Convent Saint George. That's all they knew for somehow. And so they decided to go directly there. While they were preparing, the woman, which has been healed a little by, I think it's, Jean-Marie's lackey, Luciano. She was able to, get some vitality and broke a chair, use it as a staff, and fight her way for freedom, stunning Philip on its way. So they decided to go directly to Saint George Convent. All the while, my character, I wasn't using it as a game master's player character. I didn't want to, in fact. So, but he sent a letter to, that was Martin who has received it. He was just saying to them, well, I will not be on duty anymore because I was invited by a lady to go to a special type of convent. And since all the strange things that happened, our three musketeers figured out that probably Alphonse, my character, was at that famous convent of Saint George. And they were right, but you will see that in a moment. When they arrived to Saint George Convent, they had some difficulties entering there because men aren't allowed there. And the sisters who welcomed them, didn't want them to see Sister Mary, saying that she was sick. But all the while, Philip tried to enter the place. Some sisters saw him in windows, so there was some sort of a panic. But all the while, all of them, saw Abequa, the young Indian American that gave the wooden coin to the queen. They saw them in one of the windows, so Philip got to her. All the while, Jean-Philippe and Martin and Jean-Marie were making plans maybe to force themselves into the convent, but at that moment, two sisters came out. One of them was Sister Blanche. Yeah, I haven't mentioned her name, but that was the burglar. The burglar was in fact a nun, and she was there. And she was with her twin sister called Sister Odette. And she was the one, well, we figured, for some reasons, they figured out that she was the famous lady who has brought Briscoe with her. Briscoe, which is my character, if you don't know. Okay. And they said to our two musketeers, we want to help you. We want you to see Sister Mary and all that. So, well, especially Martin was putting his trust into those two sisters who seemed to do the right thing. So the sisters brought them into some sort of a backyard to the convent of Saint Georges, a backyard which seemingly was abandoned by its gardeners since all this sort of vegetation was growing and taking its place. So they entered with them, and Philippe, followed them. Since Abequa said to Philippe, they will die, she and she was still talking about the wendigo. When she gave the wooden coin to the queen, she talked about the wendigo, and she was still talking about it to Philippe. They entered the backyard with the thick vegetation. On their way, they found Alphonse, my character's hat. So it was even stranger. Both sisters, Odette and Blanche, brought our musketeers into the center of that backyard, which was some sort of a clearing. But in the clearing, there was dead bodies, all emptied of their organs, because, well, seemingly they have been eaten by something. And the sister told Martin, well, if you want to see Sister Mary, put the wooden coin in the center of the clearing. Yeah, at that point, it was Martin who had the wooden coin. Yeah, I shortened the story, but yeah, when they interrogate, you know what I mean, okay? He took the wooden coin. That's the thing when English is not your main language. Okay, so yeah, at some point he put the coin into the middle of the clearing, and they said, yeah, she will come. And in fact, she came. Sister Mary wasn't herself anymore. She made some sort of a chant, which was some sort of a magic, words, and the vegetation grew around the ankles of our musketeers, trying to trap them. Martin was fast enough not to be trapped. And yeah, the sisters took the wooden coin and they were ready to give it to Sister Mary, which looks like now a tall being, 8 feet tall, all whitish, and all the skin stretched on her bones and her face, and her eyes, sunken into her skull. Yeah, she was a wendigo. She was becoming a wendigo. She held some sort of a shaman staff. And on the staff, there was one wooden coin that looked like a lot the eye of the wendigo. And there was a space for another one. So for some reasons, she wanted the coin back, probably to put it there. And we never know what was going to happen, since it never happened. I will tell you why. Oh, I forgot an important detail. Not only there were 2 corpses, who has been eaten, but my character was there, tied to a tree, still alive, but knocked out. So Philippe, wanted to free him before being trapped by the vegetation. They tried to fight the wendigo, and their weapons were useless, even though they had great shots, And all the while, the 2 nuns, Odette and Blanche, were fighting our musketeers. So they were very desperate at that moment. But Jean-Marie, desperately trying to defend himself, even though he was trapped, his legs were trapped, got out his silver knife. And since it's made out of silver, he tried it on the wendigo. throwing that knife, and realizing that it was working well. The wendigo was wounded, screamed, it was in pain. So yeah, they had a way to fight that creature. Martin took his silver, cross, and Philippe took, Jean-Marie's dagger, and both of them were able to stab the wendigo. All the while, they were able to at least knock down one of the sisters, Sister Blanche. Sister Odette was remaining, but when the wendigo fell down, Sister Odette was quite confused and didn't really want to fight our musketeers, preferring to help her sister. So they were able to fight the wendigo, who wanted to have, a small wooden coin that the queen had, probably to put it on its staff and probably become more powerful and way more dangerous than she was at that moment. So yeah, they have saved France once again. Yeah, well, something I haven't mentioned in the combat, but Philip was able to disarm the wendigo. This shaman staff just flew, into the park somewhere, as long as the wooden coin that the wendigo, Sister Mary wendigo version, had in its hand, and the wooden coin just flew away. So they were quite frightened by this fight. And yeah, what they knew little about the story afterward, and between ourselves, I will probably put more details to the players just for their information. But something that was mentioned in the video is that Abequa, the young Indian American, came back from New France at the same time as Sister Mary. Sister Mary apparently fought an evil shaman in New France. She was some sort of a monster hunter with Sister Blanche and Odette. Okay, so they were kind of a secret order of nuns fighting monsters, the Convent of Saint George, the Dragon Slayer. So she fought the shaman, who was also wendigo, but the shaman put a curse on Sister Mary, and on her way back she was becoming more and more as a wendigo. And when she got to Paris, well, she wanted to eat people, because wendigos are cannibals. And yeah, so she and her two sisters, Odette and Blanche, were under her orders, since probably troubled by the transformation of their mother superior. But yeah, so they followed her order. She was able to charm the crows into giving them some sort of orders, go get the eye of the wendigo. And yeah, and Abequa, tried to prevent the wendigos. She, in her way, she tried to prevent the evil that the wendigo would have made in France by stealing one part of the shaman's staff and giving it to the queen, thinking that the queen would have it secure for herself. She probably thought that the Queen Anne d'Autriche was a very powerful woman. Well, she is, but she for a small wooden coin, she didn't really put it into a big coffin with a big with a code and some sort of a lock. She just put it somewhere in her room. So that is basically the recap. That was quite an interesting game for me to prepare. First of all, it was my first time running Ubiquity. I must say that in general, I really loved Ubiquity. I think the only thing I can say about Ubiquity that I think may need some fix, in my opinion. Swashbuckling, it's about running around and ting, 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 fighting and taking your time, running around, and just before hitting someone, it takes time, and it's not the case. We've been doing 4 games of Ubiquity, and every combat were quite long. No, quite short. Yeah, that's what I wanted to say. Sometimes, in one turn, you kill the enemy. It's either you or the enemy who wins the round. So maybe that's the only not complaint, but thing that might need a little fix. I don't know how to do it because all the rest of the system is perfect to emulate that genre. Well, that's a small observation about Ubiquity, because yeah, I highly suggest that game. You know, it's on sales on AAA's games website. I can put the link below a little later. The game I have prepared had lots of stuff for it. It was lots of stuff for a one shot, but I'm satisfied because I was able to to throw all that stuff together and without feeling rushed. That was the kind of the game where I felt into control, and that is very satisfying. What is helping, such a great table of players like that, it helps a lot. Lots of the works is done just by the performance of the players involved, and I thank them for that. It makes the things so easy and so interesting. So yeah, the preparation, I tried to make an adventure in order to give a little everyone someone for their character, and I took the time to look at their character sheet, trying to spot some of the stuff that might be interesting to exploit and put situations where those skills or abilities could be used. So yeah, it was really made with that in mind. And also that was a challenge since I wanted to make something different. The first two adventures were about, Mr. Trevi sending us somewhere. Well, both adventures were very different, but I didn't want to have that same start. I wanted to have something different. Musketeers in their day-to-day duty, making something, and then stumbling upon a difficulty, a challenge. And the adventure went very, very well. Yeah, it was more darker than the two others. Well, yeah, maybe some factors are in line there. I'm the different game masters. Every game masters is different. Usually, I'm not the game masters who make dark adventures, but just having someone different makes the feel different. And also the dynamics between the characters. Okay, my character wasn't there. It was just at the end he had some lines because he woke up during the fight, but he wasn't there. And my character is a very funny type. He became the comic relief of the group, by its nature, and it wasn't there anymore. It's not. You may watch the game, there was lots of hilarious lines and stuff that the characters did, but it's not in their basic nature to be that funny, okay? Martin and Jean-Marie are two very serious characters, okay, more dark characters, and they were both there, while Philippe is a more light-hearted character in its personality. But yeah, with having those two intense characters together, it changed the dynamic, which was very interesting, in fact. But just explaining why it felt maybe darker, maybe I never thought it, but my wendigo was quite frightening, more than I would have expected, and I'm very satisfied of that, giving the players the occasion to be afraid of something. I think it's priceless. It makes the game more valuable, makes the danger more real. I think I have a feeling that I have nailed it for that part, so I'm very satisfied. And yeah, it was the longest one shot for this for our All for One campaign. So we were a little more tired by the end. It's just normal. But basically, I'm very, very satisfied, very enthusiastic about what may come. And the next game will be ran by Ivan. And, I'm expecting and hoping to, come back as a game master in a couple of sessions. If it goes all well, we will all have our second round of being a game master into that game. I think we're all enthusiastic about this game, and that genre and all that. It's been a very, very long time since I wanted to be part of a swashbuckling games like that. And it's not, I think it's more than perfect the way it's going. We have a perfect game for that. We have a perfect table of people who really want to dig that genre. I think, well, we have fantasy elements where we're all kind of fighters. You have Martin who have some spell casting. It reminds of the fantasy genre, but with the style of 17th century France, and we have all the elements for good monsters and all that. But I think it's the style, taking that fantasy but putting it in 17th century. It opens the door to many, many interesting situations and hilarious lines, and I think I feel more free into that type of setting than into a standard fantasy D&D setting. Because in D&D, you're supposed to be serious, even though you're never serious. But yeah, it feels hard at some time. But in 17th century France, there was this, well, at least in fiction, about that period of time, there was this naive, there was those naive peoples, and there was some sort of naivety. I don't know if it's the right word, but it felt like light-hearted in general. So you have all the fantasy elements with a light-hearted type of surrounding. Yeah, so that's why All for One and the swashbuckling in 17th century France is great. It's one of my favorite type of setting ever, really. And I have the privilege to share that with great players, as I said. And yeah, I think it's looking good. I'm very happy to do that. So if you have any comments, questions, feel free to leave them. If I have, sometimes I might have a small video about what my character Briscoeur Alphonse did during the adventure, up to the point where he discovered him tied into on a tree in the backyard of St. George's Convent. But yeah, I will have the little tale of that told by himself. So stay tuned. I will try to do that in the upcoming week. So yeah, feel free to leave questions and all that. My name is François Letarte, and this is my channel JDR D30. And up to next time, I hope you have as much fun in your life as in your games. Goodbye.